Hello, welcome to Rolling Escapades, Season 2, Episode 35, Part 1, the web series in which we play Dungeons & Dragons and put it online for your entertainment. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and you'll come away feeling extremely entertained. Apologies for the lack of episode last week. Life happened again. Life has a habit of happening.
It will find a way.
Yeah, life does find a way. Life needs things to live, yeah.
That one as well, yes.
I couldn't not.
It was going through my head.
Mouth.
Yeah. But we're back this week and continuing with more of the tale of the Errant Guard. Our sponsor is Destai. Linked will be in the description below. Go click on that. You can find chainmail and macrame awesome things. You can purchase, buy, enjoy. It's pretty cool. And then you can find links to the artist of the campaign, Christopher Rolls. You can find his Facebook page where you can get commissions done, and his DM's Guild page where you can find his DM's Guild products, which are pretty cool. There has been, for those of you who've been paying attention, there has been an update to Matt Mercer's Blood Hunter class. That update is now being used. So Erebus is now using the updated version. Which means some minor changes to the way that the class works and a change to the... Is it Malediction that it's called?
The Maledict, yeah.
Yeah.
Which was basically the one I had. It was the only one that got removed.
Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore.
So new ones were added, and then I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which one's
Womp. It was one that you could... we never used it, but basically
you
could...
to dex save.
For dex saves, you basically get some extra bonus.
Yeah.
And then you can amplify it, and anyone within 30 feet of you also gets some bonus. So it was kind of cool for dex saves.
Yeah.
Spells, but then, yeah, they removed it.
Yeah.
What did you change it to?
More damage now.
Yeah. Another one. But he also doesn't kill himself as much.
Well, that's always good.
So yeah, it now doesn't take off your level, it's just a D4.
I won't save you.
You're not too fun to die.
It won't save you from jumping off cliffs.
Yeah, it really wasn't the class feature that killed him.
Actually,
It was jumping off a
It
cliff.
kind of
in
was.
front of
no,
a truck.
I think it kind of was because he destroyed part of his health. But if he hadn't have lost the health points to activate the lightning, he wouldn't have gone unconscious.
Yeah, it would have been low. But
So actually might have done. So that is now being used, just so people are aware. The last session, you guys returned the bodies of Keshro and her honor guard to the town of the village of Bleakwick. There you laid out some of your next steps and the plans you have with some input from Mazo, sort of pointing out some things on the map, giving you some advice on where to not travel to and where to avoid. Whilst that conversation happened, Erebus had another separate conversation with Yoris, who revealed some information, sort of, and told him he would be able to meet his two guides as he had successfully completed the tasks that they had set for him. Yoris told Erebus about the meeting point for said guards, and you made your way to that meeting point where you waited for about 10 minutes before someone started complaining, and then they announced that they'd just been there the whole time and were watching you. And had just basically had followed you from the moment you left Bleakwick, and just when you set up a perimeter to keep an eye out for you, just walked into the middle of the perimeter and just hung around watching for a bit. They revealed themselves to be Shadar-kai, by the name of Lucan and Valrona. Lucan was a bit haughty, wasn't really happy with you, wasn't happy with what she had to do, and sort of kept herself very separate from the party, whereas Val gave some useful information, told you a little bit about the history of the land, and said that they were there to ensure that Erebus arrived at his destination. And were very, very clear in the fact that they really only gave a shit about Erebus.
We proceeded to go in exactly the direction we were told not to go in.
Sort of.
Not quite.
We were told
Not
not to
quite.
go to those peaks. We are heading straight towards those peaks.
Oh, yeah, we'll kind of go around it.
Yeah. Well.
We'll see if it goes inwards, then we follow it. If it just happens to be.
Yes. You did follow one bit of advice because you decided not to go through Nagpa's Curse. The set of mountains next to you said you headed north to a river where you got your first sight of the rift that had opened in the Soulless Peaks and the chaotic energy that was spreading out from it. And you began making your way towards the foothills of said Soulless Peaks, following the river, being aware of the fact that there is a settlement at the base called Blightfall that you've been specifically told to not go anywhere near and to be wary of any hunting or raiding parties that head out into the wilderness. So that is where we left off.
Do you remember our stealth rolls?
They were ridiculously high.
Excellent. Oh yeah, because they did pass that trace, didn't they?
Yes. Yes.
Well, they have that effect on everything around
Slams
them.
my arse all the time.
Yeah, Val cast Pass Without Trace, and Val and Lucan have gone invisible.
Cash.
Yeah, you guys have no idea where they've gone.
Well, we know they're near enough because we still have Pass Without Trace on.
Yes.
Are
yeah.
they hiding then?
Yeah, they both hid as well. They both rolled stealth rolls. You don't know where they are. None of you had a high enough passive perception to see them.
That's
I would have a higher passive perception to see them.
If you were a rogue with observant,
I have 22.
maybe.
And expertise?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. So, you are following, well, sort of following the river. It sort of winds and meanders to your right as you're making your way inland, but I assume for the most part you are just heading in a straight line, or are you following the curvature of the river?
Not on there, is it?
Straight line.
It is on there. It is. It'll be this river here.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
How far does it curve?
Quite a lot.
No,
Screw
we'll
that.
probably just
Walk.
try and.
Straight
As
line.
long as what we
Keep
cross
straight.
is actually is open, so we can't get ambushed or anything. I think just going.
So you're mostly travelling across the plains at the moment. You do occasionally, as you're moving around, you will see like small forests and whatnot in front of you, but it's not hard to take routes to just avoid it. As you are travelling, though, you are heading towards a mountainous region. You are heading into the foothills of the Soulless Peaks. At some point, you are going to find it hard to see what's going on in front of you.
Also have to be looking out for elves.
Yep, no, that's fine.
We found one.
Yeah. Make
Nathan.
perception checks. Anyone who wants to keep an eye out for elves.
Elves.
The ones that we
No.
wanted to avoid.
You're just glaring at one of those guys.
Yeah, because I can't see the two new assholes.
Oh, yeah.
They did roll off of the 20.
Yes!
On to what?
8.
Oh, you didn't do a halfling special at least.
No. I'm so angry I started speaking with a Scottish accent.
Nay!
25.
25.
No, I rolled a 2. Go away.
Okay, cool.
I haven't rolled, but I'd be
6.
kind of focusing more on this big portal and kind of how it acts and all
That's
that stuff. That it
yeah,
does.
no, that makes sense. You're just watching as it sort of sends out this essentially just continuous waves of energy.
18.
18.
Not specifically looking for anything.
Cool, that's fine.
Yeah, 14.
14. Cool.
9.
Wonderful.
Oh, and anything else probably in the sky that happens to be up there whilst I'm looking.
Yeah, that's cool. So you guys are keeping an eye out as you're making your way there. You specifically because you're looking at the rift.
Hey!
You do notice something interesting. So the weird sort of moaning sound that's been sort of like winds that you've been hearing, it's been passing over you. You notice that it's passing over you in times with pulses from the rift.
Aha!
So as that pulses, that's you. It's not instant, but there is.
Well, sound takes time to travel. So
Yeah,
quite
sort of. Yeah.
We're definitely not being blasted with the radiation here.
Alright, you've already got kids.
In an effort to avoid what I shall call the cabbage incident another time, are we going to have an agreement beforehand as to what we'll do if we happen to run into some of the elven hunting parties out here?
Oh, I assumed act on self-defense. Wait for them to shoot at us and then we fucking murder them.
So,
Surely
The hag.
within the hag, how long it
I
took
was-
for us to respond.
I was not here.
are we going to hide if we see them first before they see us? Are we going to shoot on sight? Are we going to talk?
I think we should avoid the
Avoid
conflict if we
possible
can.
Yes.
hide.
So hide, avoid conflict.
If
And
we
then if they have a go at us, we win.
Has anyone considered maybe the implications of letting the hunting party go and warning the others in the city?
I'd rather they didn't.
that's the assumption that they actually do stumble across us if we're able to stay hidden throughout, then that would not be a concern.
So we should hide, and then you're saying
They
Stay
see us, we
hidden.
run.
stay
No,
hidden.
if they see
Oh,
us,
if
we.
If they see us,
Well,
we can't let them return.
What will the plan be if we assume that they've seen us?
Okay, if they see us, they're probably going to try and get us because that's what we've been told. They're not friendly, they are hostile. So they see us, people they don't recognize, they're going to try and kill us. So we need to get them before they get us, and then they don't warn the rest of the town that there's prey sitting out of here, essentially.
We have been told they are not of kind of a sane mind. So
We
if
have
you're
been
looking for
told they are corrupted.
justification of yes, if you're looking for justification for your actions, treat them like animals. They are not. Yeah, he's going brutal.
I'm not about to eat them.
They're
Or
not.
heresy,
They're not
if you
going to
prefer.
show you any mercy.
No, so I want to show them mercy, but I'll wait for them to make the first strike.
And what if they don't throw the first punch? What if they call out to us then?
They've been corrupted. I would quite like to observe and see what they do if we have the opportunity without fighting them.
Oh, I'm not saying we
See how-
engage
see
straight
how they
away,
behave,
as I
see
say.
if they are
Oh, if they
savable.
if they initiate by trying to converse with us, then
That's okay.
that's very different.
I think if they
We've
do,
been told
we should
that's
be
not going to happen though.
Yes, I'd be
We should-
surprised.
definitely
Which
be
if they
wary
do-
of any deception.
I do want to make one point. I think if we keep talking about it, they're much more likely to find us.
Yes.
so silence is golden.
Well, I mean, after the cabbage incident, the planning this party needs seems to be pretty evident, I would say, to be honest. Yes, maybe we should concentrate on not being seen.
Or heard.
As we stand here in this wide open.
Oh, I assume we
plain.
were still walking slowly as we had
Or,
this
or
conversation.
as we're walking through this wide open plain, then, or entering these foothills.
Cool.
Val, Lucan, did you hear that conversation?
Yes. We are nearby, we are listening.
Do you agree to follow our rules?
Sure, yes, it is, as we said, it is for you to make the decision. We are just here to offer advice.
What is your advice?
Avoid if you can. If you come into contact, kill on sight.
Very enlightening, thank you.
Well, let's keep moving. We've got to get Erebus where he's got to go, and then this.
Sooner than later.
Have any of your people actually been able to talk with this tribe of elves?
No,
I think that
What?
should set a precedent. For how we
although
take
we haven't exactly tried, we've had no reason to interact with them.
Ah, right. They're very social, far more than I thought.
We are simply here to stop the spread of the corruption. The people who are already here have suffered their fate, so
Keep on walking.
wonderful. So, you guys continue to travel. As you're getting closer to the center of the island, the thing you do, it was already dark here because there's no natural light. Everything just sort of is illuminated by this weird black light glow thing. But you do notice it starts getting darker. But it's specifically as you're walking forwards. When you turn around and sort of step back again, it starts getting lighter again. So There's this growing darkness that seems to be emitting from the rift above the Soulless Peaks. And as you get closer to the rift, you are walking further and further into, as Nathan put it, it's a good way of putting it, the radiation zone.
How do we feel about this?
Glowing.
Nothing. You don't feel any change as of yet. Occasionally, there's moments.
Everyone is now luminescent.
Yeah. You get the moments of like apathy or despair that you've had previously, as sort of in time when you first saw the rift and when you first entered that cave. Not when you rested in that cave. But it's never very intense. It passes after a few seconds. It's not something you have to fight off, but you are feeling there's sort of this growing chill to the air, and you are feeling sort of some of your. It's almost like your emotions are lessening and darkening.
So there's wind, yeah?
It's not wind, but there's no air movement. But the sound that washes across it is akin to how wind would move.
While we're travelling, is it possible for me to try and just sort of almost meditate to try and block it out?
Yeah, I mean it's not taking an effect on you. It's just it's you can sense what it's trying to do, just what the waves.
Yeah, what I meant is like trying to work out a way of not letting it be as strong when it does hit as a heavy blow. Because we felt it quite strongly at times, and we had to fight it off, or
yes.
some didn't. So while I can practice against a weaker version,
Sure, you can.
I don't know what that would be though. That's the problem.
You can attempt to practice, and either it'll achieve something or it won't.
Well, attempt to practice. Why not?
Just thinks happy thoughts every 20 seconds.
Just thinks of dogs in wizard's hands.
So it takes you a couple of hours of travel before you enter the actual foothills of the Soulless Peaks. Throughout that time, you are aware that Pass Without Trace does not end.
Oh.
Neither is their invisibility.
Neither does their invisibility. No.
Didn't know that.
So yes, which Pass Without Trace in the plane of shadow is extremely useful as it wraps shadow around you. But you have reached the foothills of the Soulless Peaks. You have a couple of choices in the way you wish to travel through the foothills in heading towards the actual mountain region themselves. Similar to the foothills you've encountered before, you can head through the base of the foothills, through various canyons and valleys and potentially ravines and dead ends and whatnot, or you can travel over the tops of the hills, which is going to have its own drawbacks.
What does the Honor Guard suggest?
Also, is the blip kind of still heading inwards? Or?
Yeah, the blip's just pointing straight at it. It's not giving you any. It's not giving any veering from the straight path that you've just been following. You're asking Shadar-kai for. It depends on what you prefer. Heading over the foothills would be quicker, but things may see you. Things may set an ambush in front of you, but you may be able to see it better. Traveling through the foothills may take longer. It is less likely for things to see you, but it would be easier to ambush you should you be spotted. If you walk into a dead end and something jumps you whilst you're there, then...
What is the terrain like going over the top?
It will be rocky.
Will we need climbing equipment and rope?
Not through the foothills, no.
No, I mean going over them. You said that it's going through the foothills or going over the top.
Yeah, because it's not like proper mountains thing. You can get over the top. it'll be rocky and
But you don't have to
There'll be a path. I
climb
presume.
up the face.
yeah, you don't have to climb up the face. Yeah, you can pick a path relatively easily through the up the sides.
Well, in the ideals of secrecy and avoiding people, maybe we go the less hospitable route.
I was thinking low road if we want to keep with our being hidden policy.
We're not in a rush for time. We're not dashing to save children this time. I think we
Yeah.
should take it slow, take it stealthily, and
Keep an
go
eye
through the
out.
base.
That's fine by me.
I can agree with that.
An ambush is our greatest enemy.
Over the top or up through the foothills?
Through, under, low.
Okay.
Wonderful. Well, pick your route and head in the direction you wish to go.
This should also allow us to see if the blip is pointing directly at the foothills.
Sorry?
This should tell us if the thing is pointing directly into the mountains.
That is.
Because if we're going around, no, if we're moving slightly around, we'll see if it turns slightly, so we know how close it is. Because if it doesn't move at all, it could be quite far away.
Exactly.
Whereas if it does move, then it indicates that we're not fairly close, but close-ish.
Mhm.
But didn't the blip
Hard to
before
tell.
it followed along the river front anyway? So
So we were walking. The river wasn't meandering too much, though. It was almost
It
in
wasn't
one
before.
So we go wandering through the foothills.
Yes, you start wandering through the foothills. Ah, that's cool. Cool. As you step in, you do all immediately notice one change because the shadows stop wrapping around you. So I need you all to make another stealth roll, please.
Not adding plus 10.
Not adding plus 10.
Oh, good. This is setting a precedent for the evening.
Not a terrible number.
No, but I've rolled the same number twice in a row now.
So how many key points do you have?
I have all of them,
Which
Wow.
is
but I've not used it
Some.
because it only lasts an hour.
yeah, seven
And
or
we don't know
something.
how long we're going to be travelling.
He's got
Oh, we can be
five.
travelling for ages.
how long have we been travelling so far?
Yeah.
a couple of hours.
But even from where we
How
left
back-
and they did ours.
So what
there's
time
some-
of day is it?
There is no.
No, how long has it been since we woke up roughly?
4 hours.
Yeah, about 5 hours. Yeah.
Okay.
No, longer than that because you went into the cave at the start of this day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
what I
it
was
was,
thinking. It's quite close to evening
uh,
right now.
Yeah, because you went in, you were an hour down, hour out, 2, 3, a little bit there, about 3.5, 4, 5. Yeah, about 7.5 hours. Yeah, so you're reaching the point at which you've been travelling for a day. Yeah.
We might want to stop before we get too much further.
We'll find a good spot in the
In the foothills.
in a crack
yeah.
somewhere. Yeah.
I'm sure we can find a cave.
That's not
Hmm.
got
Inhabited.
things in
An
it.
alcove.
Do we want to be bedding down this close to a known enemy?
Do we have any
Is it-
choice?
I mean, we could go
We're in hostile territory, Eldrin.
through, but
We do have someone safe to come down, but we've just left there to come here.
Isn't the entire island hostile?
Essentially.
Thanks for clarifying the point I just made.
Even the sky
10.
can hurt us.
Stealth roll.
24.
24,
30.
30,
21.
21.
Everyone call these like 11.
2-digit
Don't worry, I'm going to make you all feel
Like,
better.
it's
Don't
two
worry.
digits, 11, but
11.
3!
17.
17.
2 twos in a row now.
I didn't actually have +1, so I'm quite impressed.
Well, it's a good thing I didn't roll a 2. Because that would have been a super critical failure. There's a 0.
Yes.
Cool. Wonderful. So, you are moving yourselves as quietly as you can through the foothills. Let's have someone make a survival check in attempting to
I'll help you.
make your way through without getting lost.
12.
Helping gives
I
you
did say
advantage.
help Before you rolled it, isn't it?
Yeah.
More than 12.
18.
18, wonderful. And are you spending the time now not only to navigate through the foothills, but also to look for somewhere to rest?
Yes.
Wonderful. Someone else make a perception check as you're looking around for somewhere to rest.
I will help.
Oh, thank you.
Cool.
It's 3 twos now. Take that one instead. It's 15.
15. Wonderful. It was 15 percepts and an 18 survival, right? Wonderful. Cool. So you begin doing your best to make a path through the foothills. You move through carefully. You're not moving at speed. You don't need to. And in doing so, you are able to look for various signs of routes of things passing through directions that they're not taking. So you are able to make it through without walking, or you start making your way through places without walking into a dead end or walking into sort of like a drop over a ravine and things like that. So that is a successful navigation. Perception check, you're looking for like a cave sort of thing? Yeah, that's fine.
Any
Yeah.
sort of like well-defendable areas, essentially, that could be made into a camp.
Mm-hmm.
Hidden.
I mean, as you're passing through, there are various caves you can put yourself into. There are, especially in like the bottom parts, there are like piles of rock that hide you being seen from various angles. You have a pretty good pick of places you want to go.
Cool.
Whether you want to be outside or in a cave and have one way in, one way out.
I will find a particularly sizable one, suggest it. Like, well, if we want to bed down, I think here, that area right there will do quite nicely.
Let's make sure it's not inhabited.
Mm-hmm. Cool. You can make your way up, have a look and check around. It's a decent sized cave. It has a cavern that has a very small sort of tunnel at the end that leads to a second cavern. That's all it is, naturally formed. Doesn't seem to be anything inside it. There's no signs of anything that makes use of it.
How big is the entrance?
It's about 20 foot in.
And how big is the smaller entrance to the second cavern?
The smaller one is like a 10-foot tunnel.
No, we still can't block that.
No.
That's fine, we don't need to.
Yeah,
We can probably have a fire on the inside one.
probably not worth the risk.
Probably not
No,
worth
we
it.
will have fun.
No.
He wants tea and he's going to use it if he doesn't get it. So he can potentially do that if he blocks or if he
Are
puts...
there any loose rocks to the entrance of the cave?
I mean, there are like rocks and boulders and stuff lying around.
Okay, I could spend, like, whilst you lot are setting up camp, I could spend a good, like, 40 minutes dragging a bunch of stones in to build as a doorway.
Oh, and it makes some noise.
I think maybe grabbing a lot of the smaller stones, if anyone tries to come in, they have to kick the stones.
Perhaps we would
So
be better
what is
hidden
sound?
if we didn't make it apparent there was something trying to camp here as well.
Make it look natural still.
Maybe we try and cover the gap with cloaks rather than...
If, what if we just do nothing to the gap and maybe rest within the second cabin?
That's what I thought we were doing.
He wants to light a fire.
How about no fire?
This is
There's
what
Oh,
I'm
that would be
saying.
preferable, don't get me wrong.
Does anyone know
But
heat,
do we
heat
trust
metal?
him not to, is the question.
Does anyone know heat metal? Because then he wouldn't need a fire.
Oh, you need a kiln and things for that, don't you?
Or
Just-
darkness.
Just a big pot of metal with water. Just heat it up and then...
No, you need a kiln to heat metal.
No, it's the spell.
Oh. These spells.
I start building a fire.
Right, I'll go and move rocks and try and block the door.
Oh god.
I get the feeling we're not going to stop this because at some point you're going to be on watch by yourself and go tee hee hee.
I very much myself to do loads of stuff, yeah.
Just checking the things. What are you called?
Random encounter token.
Ah, there it is. I did remember the name right. Oh no, I didn't remember the
Oh,
right name.
lich. Cool.
Hey, I made it. What's the two more horrors doing here?
Who's the two horrors? Just Liam, right?
There isn't one lich in this campaign.
Yet. No, it just means
No,
that
there's,
More.
there's a conclave of 5.
They're all having a tea party.
So they have tea together.
Jacques!
I thought it was literally way more powerful than I am. I have
No.
way more spells.
No, you're just hiding it.
Mm. Or you're
Or you're in
your
training.
ultimate goal.
That's what it's called. Okay, so
Tea party.
you're just moving rocks around and whatnot to put in front of the main entrance or the
The
inner.
second entrance.
Inside the
So
second
we're in
entrance.
the second cavern,
Yep.
and then so yeah.
Cool.
And then I'll try and I'll move big ones in first.
Yep.
And then try and fill it with small ones, building it in such
It's
a way
making
that
a
I can
drywall.
building it in such a way. I'm building 2 blocks of cobblestone essentially, in such a way that I can then get through and put the final block in without locking myself out essentially.
Can I just remain on watch for hunting parties of corrupted elves that might be
Yep.
Say,
coming nearby? And be like,
Do you want a
"What's
watch
that
buddy for that?
I'm providing you,
You can
with
have-
help.
Cool. Are you doing that from just within the ravine, or are you going slightly up the hill for a better vantage point?
No, I'll go like slightly up, like on top of the cave that we're currently staying on.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Make a perception check as you're looking around.
Level 2.
Ooh, 11 and 12, so that means it is 18.
18. Cool. Yeah, keeping an eye out. You don't see any sort of strange corrupted elves making their way towards you. Yeah.
What corrupted?
He's also not attacking us on sight. It's
Um,
fine.
What do you mean corrupted?
You also you see no sign of Lucan or Valrona either.
I assume they're in the cave already.
Maybe
Wherever
they
he
may
is.
not be.
I don't care. I'm going to build that doorway.
That's
We're
fine.
into them.
Considering your strength with the belt of giant strength, you will easily enough be able to move stuff in around. Those of you who are keeping an eye out the outside, I assume you move in when the last rock is before the
Yes.
last rock is placed.
The
Before you
door
get
is
the
now
lock.
closing.
Yeah.
There we go.
Cool. And there's a little gap at the top so the smoke can get out and you guys don't choke to death from the fire.
I appreciate it.
It's the tiniest gap possible. In fact, no, I'd probably try and leave like very tiny little cracks across the whole thing.
Yeah, wouldn't you have
So it's
multiple?
there's not like one source of light, but there's just the smoke can get out essentially.
Okay.
There's me.
Cool. You have a lit fire. You are heating water for tea.
Anybody I care about.
Yep. Cool. You guys are settling down for a rest inside this cavern.
I would like to try something with Derek.
Mhm.
I'd like to so pour one of your mugs of tea, as you call it. Right, then put it in the bag hole.
Oh, he's going to see if it spills.
Just upright. Yep, yep.
I think
And
it's
it goes.
just cools down.
Right. We'll come back to that in like an hour or so. Maybe it's still hot. And then
I'll
you
make
won't-
another cup of tea!
Then you won't need to constantly make fires, right?
Huh. Let's see
I'll
where
give
you're
boy
going.
another cup of water.
I don't think it works that way, but bloody
I'll be
hell.
honest, I don't know how it works, but it might still be hot, right?
Magic, yeah.
Worth a chance.
What have we got in there that's gonna come out
3
soggy?
toes.
Those corpses. There wasn't corpses in
We
there?
got rid
No,
of
we
those.
kicked them all
Most
out.
of them out.
Yeah, not all then, just most.
Those?
No, we kicked all of them out.
There's a scroll of sending,
Yeah, but they didn't
jack
want the
ship
elves, right? We
planks,
put the elves back in and stuff.
and a shredded bit of black dragonite.
Like what?
Where did the black dragonite come from?
The orcs.
The orcs.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'd forgotten about that.
Who's wearing
None
like a cloak
for
to disguise his horns?
Yeah. Yeah. It was a very, very clever disguise.
It was very good.
Which is why all you guys afterwards are a bit like, The fuck is up with these orcs? Something is not right with these orcs.
That's no orc.
Scooby-Doo.
Swamp monster. And they would have gotten away with it.
It wasn't any meddling kids.
Wonderful. So,
1% help.
I'll take the last watch. Who wants first?
I'll take first.
yeah, I was going to say, I assume people are having watches.
Yeah. I'll go first.
What might be like at the middle of the night?
It's the same light throughout, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You've got 4 watches to have. So you're doing first.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else on first?
I mean, you assisted me watching and looking at earlier, so maybe I'll
I'll
do the
go
same
on.
watch as you.
Cool.
Okay.
Nice. Okay, that's a lot better than I thought. 23.
23?
10.
10. All right. Yeah. Cool. All right. There is. That's fine.
Super.
So you guys keep an eye out, or keep an ear out, really, because you can't see anything. And also, I've assumed once the tea has been boiled, the fire is put out. Though at least you can recollect the wood, because it won't all have burnt. So you still have enough wood to make a fire again.
Put that in the bag as well.
You don't hear anything coming close to the cavern and making its way in. You do through the night hear strange sounds.
Nothing new there.
Well, yeah. Although this is the first night you've slept outside of the town. So it was relatively quiet, but that was also a well looked after area. You can hear sounds. There's what might be hunting cries. It's hard to tell. They don't sound like a normal hunting cry, but then you're also not expecting a normal hunting cry from a bunch of crazy elves. You occasionally hear what sounds like sort of low moaning, but not quite moaning. It's just not like akin to zombies. You heard a zombie moan. You've encountered zombies. It's sort of like a yeah.
Someone's yawning.
I only had Eeyore going through my mind.
I kind of thought of the cloud giant.
I think
yeah.
it's a very sad stone giant.
Sad zombie.
Lonely.
I was thinking when you're kind of dragging a wooden table across also a wooden floor and you just have that.
You do also hear the sounds of like something doesn't come into the cavern, but something accompanying the moaning. Something passes the entrance, and it seems to be. It's not. It's shuffling, and you can hear. It seems to be dragging something along the ground behind it.
Does that seem to be the source of the moaning?
It does seem to be the moaning sound. Yeah.
What, the thing that's dragging or the thing that's being dragged?
Yes.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
part of the same sound. Though I mean, it's not like I would say something being dragged. It's something being dragged along the floor. Like it's not like it's a step and a paw and a step and a paw. It's something that's part of whatever this creature is. It would be like a tail. Yeah.
Right.
Or something akin to that. Yeah.
One of the
It's a terrace.
shadows. Sorrow Swarm. That's
Sorrow
the word.
Swarm.
I remembered it this time.
But outside of that, nothing nothing bothers you through the night. Well, through your watch. Who's watch 2?
I'm already meditating, so I'm sleeping.
Yep.
Sure.
Cool. Watch 2 for just you.
Great.
Wonderful. Make a perception check.
Is
Expect
your character asleep?
High rolls.
Well,
18.
Sleeping version.
I think it's 18 flat. Am I still unclean? Or feel
Unclean,
like-
yeah.
You are still suffering from that, yes.
That's clean.
For the sake of roleplay, I'm going to take 4 off of that. It's 14.
Fair enough. Yeah, cool. You're distracted by the
because
fact
I'm
that
also just sort of going like.
yeah, you're attempting to clean yourself. I like that. Yeah.
That's what just making.
So yeah, perception. That's 14.
Cool. You don't hear anything. You don't notice anything. But you're confident that you're clean right now
Good.
at this moment in time. That may change.
That's the
a minute
important
later.
That's the important thing. Yeah. Wonderful. Who's third watch?
I have woken up.
You two have woken up. You two have woken up. So cool.
So I think we're on watch.
You're on third watch.
Debating whether or not I should just help him.
We've already rolled it.
Yep.
15.
15,
14.
14. Cool. Again, you guys don't notice anything.
Mhm.
Nothing bother you. You occasionally hear this sort of strange hunting cry type thing, but outside of that, you don't hear anything. You don't hear the moans. What I will point out, because at this point, Prom would have noticed, Valrona and Lucan are not in the cavern with you.
Of course.
They are somewhere else.
I mean, do you know, because we explicitly sort of been saying Val, Luca, and they
Yeah.
haven't been responding. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
And at this point, like, invisibility, like, if they were invisible, if they were sleeping, they would have shown up. Once you've hit, like, the 6th hour, they would have appeared. They had to have gone to sleep.
I have no doubts that they can look after themselves.
They're somewhere outside poking rocks into the smoke hole.
Or they're making the moaning sound.
Yeah.
So after I watch, I wake up Mr. T and Helmet Hair.
Wonderful. You two are still awake for
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
You two could actually join in with another
Yeah, I was
watch if
gonna
you
do
wanted
that.
to.
I'm also going to be meditating because it seems like we rest for too long. That's when we get hit by a
Or
thing.
having
Mhm.
This is
I'm having a
walls that-
bad day.
Nope, I'm not seeing anything this time.
Cool.
Because I'm meditating, I've missed a lot.
Wonderful.
10.
10,
6.
6,
9.
9.
27. I rolled a 20.
Do you know what he realised? Like, no, wait, I'm up now. Focus.
Like 3 of them there sat having cups of tea.
He had espresso.
Yeah.
Man's just like, sugar.
He's just hyper-focused, like, I see everything.
Old man wisdom.
Did he just eat the tea bag?
No, that's not how.
I smell purple.
That's just too many Skittles.
Very
I
worried
thought
we
we'd
passed
back
that
in the light
storm.
land.
I'm pretty sure
Um,
that comes from mushrooms.
So,
That's what you
27. You do hear that,
Yeah.
you're, in fact, listening to it, you're pretty confident it's a hunting cry. It's something hunting. But you don't hear them hunting anything. They just seem to be making the sound as
Or
they're
they're just
moving
like
around.
crazy sound.
Yeah. It's definitely some sort of hunting cry. But they don't seem to be chasing anything. And it's sort of, occasionally it gets closer, sometimes it gets further away. But it's just this, it's just like this really unpleasant screaming sound.
Okay. Does it
No.
sound like it's quite easy to mimic?
Possibly, it might hurt your throat to do so.
Oh, okay.
Find yourself a kangaroo.
Yeah. But outside of that, you don't hear anything, you don't notice anything.
No.
That's what you
Ooh,
need in a bag of holding. A pocket kangaroo.
Can I come out now? No, shut up.
Speaking of, have you tried pouring out?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll do the
Yeah.
tea science
Yeah.
with the
So long rest has been completed, so you'll get to apply the benefits of a long rest.
Yeah.
You also all need to make a wisdom saving throw, please.
Yeah.
Do I get any benefits from my attended meditation?
Now it rolls well.
Who is sleeping next to Paladin?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Cave is
Because
Because us 4 were on watch over by
Yeah,
the entrance.
it's smaller. It's not actually that small. It's about a 40-foot diameter cave. So not
I
unless you're
assume whoever was asleep, we're all sleeping within about like
quick.
10
I'm
foot.
feeling depressed. Die for the paladin.
I think I was asleep when he'd been asleep for a while.
yeah.
I woke up.
But so what I actually imagine, what I'll say, it will probably be those 3 would be, because they were asleep, would be at the back of the cave, whereas you guys on watch would have been at the front. So you 4 wouldn't get the benefit.
When I woke up, I was next to him. Is it just happening very arbitrarily at the middle, at a certain point in time?
At the end of the rest, so when you are on watch.
My rest was 4 hours ago.
Oh, that's a valid point. Your rest was
Which
4
was
hours
next
ago,
to him.
as was yours. Yeah, that's cool because you guys only need a 4-hour watch.
Weird.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Right, what did you get? Wisdom save.
Is the reason he read elves for a while.
Yeah, no, I think it's the random 19.
19.
For some reason, I just suddenly went, no, I've added too
Brain
much.
went.
Cool. 19, you're fine.
19.
19, you're fine.
Oh dear.
5.
Oh, good.
At a corruption point.
I already am.
Yep. And The phobia you had once before on this island has returned. You have a fear of undead.
Sweet.
How many do I get from him?
+3.
3.
12.
Are we adding that as well? Because we got.
We woke up next to him.
Right, okay.
That is just a pass.
Anyone with less than 11 just.
I think mine's a pass when it comes to it.
Am I next to him?
You would have been, yes.
So that's +3, yeah?
Yeah.
16.
16?
Oh, you already had one.
Yeah.
I did already have
You did. I had to check yours.
Then,
You passed. You're
Okay.
fine.
otherwise I would have been adding something to it.
Yeah.
21.
You're fine.
25.
Also fine.
Do I remove a corruption point, or do I still have my one?
No, you still have it. It doesn't go.
It doesn't go either.
You are now
What was
forever
your corruption
corrupted.
again?
Have to go to the Feyrod. Yeah.
I'm afraid of undead.
He has the when fighting undead. He has the frightened condition for the first round of combat.
Awful.
It's not great.
Uh-huh.
He has little legs, so he can't run that far.
Oh,
To
it's
be
something.
fair, usually the first round of combat, I'm surprised or not involved.
Yeah, that's true.
so it's not going to be an issue really.
When was the last time you were involved in the first round of combat? Was it
Never.
Was it the hag?
Before we
Never.
left this fucking island.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, against the vampire. that was
Yeah.
that was the last time against the vampire.
Right.
Some time ago.
Oh no, on the ship. On the ship.
I thought you
Oh
were
yeah, that's right. That was the ship.
I thought you were downstairs.
Oh yeah,
for
no.
that.
No, yeah. Yeah, the vampire. Yeah.
That's about 5 months of campaign.
That's not that long in campaign.
No, I mean for us, it's been 5
Oh yeah,
months.
it's been a while. Yeah.
I'm a super sub. I come on at the end.
Yeah.
I can start
Cool.
playing the 70th minute.
So
Sports references.
you have rested. And one of you has regained corruption, but you are ready to face the day.
Instantly, I would have changed the spell, but I can't find where it is on my spell list.
What spell is it?
Toll the Dead. So I don't need necromancy spells yet.
damage.
Isn't that one of the things from here?
No, it's a Xanathar's cantrip, that one.
I can't find it on my spell list of the thing, so I can't work out how it ended up on my spells.
Are you using it as a proxy for something?
Is it on your expanded
No.
sheet?
No, it's the thing.
It's not like
No, but as in like on my actual character
Sorcerer,
sheet,
right?
from when I go to level up and stuff, it's not on my spell list.
Huh.
But it
You
shows
must
up
be-
in my spells, so I've got it from something else and I can't find what it was.
It's not on the spell list. I don't know where
Interesting.
you got it from.
Is it from your subclass?
No, he's a storm sorcerer.
Oh.
No, it's not. So
That's why I'm confused. I've got it from somewhere and I don't know where.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Have
only thing I
bomb
can
damage.
think of is you're using it
Cheating?
to proxy one.
But it's really hard to enter.
A feat at all that would have given you extra spells.
But you're swapping it out, right?
I was going to, yes, but I can't add as. I only got 13 spells, but that's not one that shows up.
We'll work it out because we've got to work out where that's
Yeah.
come from because it can't just be there.
So I was thinking, I'll get rid of that because I don't need it while I'm
You didn't have
doing
it.
this.
No, it wouldn't be from an item.
Either way, though, you
Check in the book how many cantrips you're supposed to have, then count how many cantrips you have, and then from there you can work out whether it's just it might just be a visual bug.
Possibly. I think I've used it.
Shamshir, the bag.
Oh god.
Carefully, think of it being upright.
You bring out an upright cup of tea. It's stone cold.
Oh.
No.
It was a nice idea in theory.
That was worth the reaction.
Well, at least we
I'm not
know
on fire.
things don't remain hot inside the bag of holding.
I won't take down the stones just yet then.
Oh, that's it. I'm an elf, so I get a cantrip from the wizard spell list.
There you go. There you
I
go.
thought I'd look through my actual
Cool.
things.
So you can't change that one.
Can't you?
No,
I didn't know that.
because that is not a sorcerer spell. You can only change your sorcerer spells.
You're
Right.
stuck with bomb damage.
You are stuck with tolling.
Drat.
There you go.
It's a good spell.
Well, in
You
that
get
case,
D12s.
I will change a different spell
D12 bomb
because I'm
damage.
unlikely to need dancing lights.
That's fair. That's fair.
I already swapped mine out.
Cool.
Have you got
So
the digi thingy?
Yes.
Good.
long rest has happened.
So you're wondering
You're
which
having a tea.
Yeah.
You're working out spells.
I can't remember a spell's name. It's the one with the 8 coins on the eyes. General approach.
General, yeah.
Thank you. I just needed to say the thing.
Right, let me do my spells. Done.
You shit your spells out.
No.
Wonderful.
Let me do my spells.
Tea is had, fire is put out, spells are prepared. Par removes stones a little bit at a time.
Careful.
As you reach the point where you can suddenly see, when you can see outside, it's not light. There is no light. It's still
Suddenly our
dark.
faces.
Yeah, no, Varron and Lucan are just standing there, waiting for you.
So creepy.
The Shadar-kai, dude.
Note to self: make a knocker next time.
Or just a stick of wood.
Yes.
Hit against the rock. Dunk.
There we go.
It's a rock on a like a rope that you put through, so it just goes. Dunk,
Or I just
dunk,
leave a
dunk.
small hammer and chisel there. Ching, 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 ching. Oh, someone's at the door. I have stonecutter's tools on me.
Okay. So,
I can leave my flute outside if you want to.
you're going to begin making your way through the various canyons and valleys and whatnot of the foothills. Shamshir, I assume you're leading the charge again. Go to make another survival check. I will assume Erebus is helping
I
you,
will
so
be
you have
helping you.
advantage.
Oh boy. Oh, it actually helped. Uno point. Up to 23, I think.
23, wonderful.
I'm using this chance to say, because of the new Blood Hunter thing, I've got an extra proficiency in survival, so I was like,
Yeah,
I'm going to
there
help
you
you
go. I assume also you're all moving quietly.
Yes.
Cool. You do watch as Varona casts Pass Without a Trace, but he doesn't include you in it. and then Lucan casts Invisibility.
Right. Did he just roll a 20?
Yes!
With disadvantage?
What?
You're in armor, yo! Damn!
I fucked up the throw so hard, it rolled and landed on a 20. Nice, Dan. Nice.
So do we have plus 10 or not?
You don't. They don't cast it on you.
That's fine.
He has cast it on the two of them because they are letting you get through your own merits right now.
That's fine.
Right. So you got like a 5.
3.
4. Cool. Eldran's a 4. Shamshir.
I had 9, but the roll was a 1.
That's fine. That's still a 9. You're still good. You're still good.
That's
All right.
nice addition.
13.
13.
Oh, we are being sponsored.
There we are. Get ready for this.
What do you get?
5.
5.
Oh, we are.
I think we're about to meet that moaning draggy thing.
What's wrong with everyone? I've got an 18.
18.
Slightly less fucked.
I'm so glad I called disadvantage on you, because 4!
Erebus.
25.
We got the same
casuals.
number.
25 and
That-
face palming the whole
All
time.
I'm just saying to you
Oh,
guys,
That's
you're
low for
weak.
Yeah, that's weak.
Loud bitches.
Filthy casuals.
But then I do get
Alright, go and
advantage.
take your fedora of stealth over there. Go
I do
on.
get, no, it's shoes of stealth. Elven shoes.
Just tip it.
Boots of elven kind.
More hair grows in there.
Sneakers.
That's painful. Oh my god.
I wasn't paying attention. I had to be like, what was just said? Process.
Ding! Penny drop.
Yeah, I felt that.
So we go clanking our way.
You're moving as far as you guys are concerned with stealthiness and lots of quiet.
Look, we all knew this. At some point, I have to stop every so often for some tea.
Do I hit him over the head?
I get my step.
I'll
Fortunately,
maybe pick you up again.
Shamshir, with his survival check, is keeping you moving more or less in the right direction, avoiding dead ends and places you don't want to travel to. You're also able to, with check as you look around, notice the trail of this whatever this creature was that was moving around. It's really weird in terms of like the tracks that it's leaving, but you can tell that it is it's only got 2 feet or legs, and it was dragging. It wasn't one thing that was dragging behind it; it was two, and they are on either side of the legs, on the exterior.
Does this sound like the harpoon one?
It might be.
From the descriptions I had of the thing.
It might be.
I remember there was something with a harpoon. And that's
There was something with harpoon arms. Yes.
I just
I'm
imagine
going to mention this.
failing to
people
do the
say-
Naruto
probably
route.
that.
Velociraptor gone wrong.
And his arms are so long, and he's like dragging them along the floor.
Like a reverse T-Rex.
No.
Yes.
Absolutely a reverse
but-
T-Rex.
Noticing the tracks, you not only steer people away from that, you also keep you keep the party moving away from places the areas you don't want to end up in ravines. So that's fortunate.
For us.
Yeah. The blip is still pointing in the same direction, more or less.
Okay.
As you're making your way through the
Yes,
base
yeah.
of the foothills, it does move slightly,
No,
but it's just more or less, it's just pointing straight at the Soulless Peaks.
that's far.
Yes.
Have I noticed that he's behaving like a clean freak?
I'd imagine probably at this point you all have.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you just learnt that cantrip?
No, I already had it on last day, but
Oh.
I did swap dancing lights for gust.
Fair
I
enough.
have reasons.
Cool.
He needs to like jet wash himself with air.
As a point, I did choose the frostbite cantrip.
Cool.
That's for very, very other reasons.
Cool. Make another survival check for me as you're making your way through. You're still being helped. You still got that advantage.
Okay.
Good.
15.
15. Cool. So you carry on leading the party through.
I am on lookout for other movement other than us.
Okay. Make a perception check. Okay.
21.
21. Wonderful.
This way, everyone. Just be quiet.
I thought we were being quiet.
Clank, 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 clank.
I am just sighing.
The heaviest of size.
Try to be
There's only so
Okay.
much you can do with any
You don't
bits of steel.
see anything moving. You don't notice anything like trying to sneak up on you or anything like that. You carry on leading the people through. As you're leading down various routes, you reach a point where you're not entirely sure which direction you should go. You kind of pick one at random because you're looking around. There's signs of travel down both. You're not sure which one you want to be using, so you just go that one. You made that one.
Heads or centaurs.
Half an hour at a time.
And as you make your way through this valley, bless you. A third one?
No,
Okay.
it's not like him.
You pass around one of the foothills and you find yourself staring out into a sort of a much wider valley in between these foothills. It's a bit more of a gulf, and you see in front of you a collection of semi-ruined buildings.
Ooh.
Like,
Yep,
You're
you're
going to
basically
say
stopped.
bodies, but okay.
There are. You can see that there used to at some point be walls around this settlement. Most of them have crumbled and decayed and fallen apart. And just sort of glancing briefly over the settlement itself, you can see that there's just this general state of decay and disrepair and ruin across the entire thing. Every single building is in some form of decay and just falling apart and crumbling. Put in various points around the outside of the village, you can see there are what look to be large, jagged black spikes, sort of pointing. Some of them pointing outward, some of them just pointing straight up. Some of the buildings have just got them sitting on the upper levels. The bits of wall that you can see have just sort of got things sticking out of them, and on some of them you can see. It is some distance away, but you can just about make out what looks to be like sort of circular-ish shaped things, about yay big, sitting on the spikes. Detail is hard because it is very, very dark here. You can see the Soulless Peaks. They are much closer than they previously before you entered, and you can the rift you can see quite closely, and you are able to make out a bit more of this like sort of rolling, boiling energy coming out of it.
Looking up above us, can we see this castle, which was specifically placed to look over a
Yes.
village?
Make a perception check. The other thing you will all notice is you sort of are looking out across. When you first notice this settlement, is there is an immediate wave of repulsion. Do you all feel sort of
Are we repulsed by the
Disgusted.
village?
by the actual village? Yes, there's this almost thing. There's almost like some sort of barrier or something or it's just a thing in your mind that's saying this is not a place you want to be. It's trying to force you away from it.
Shall we go back and go find a different route?
How long have we been travelling?
At this point, you've been going another couple of hours.
17.
Looking up, you can't see it, but you are also looking up as you're sort of looking further up into the thing. You notice it's almost complete darkness up in the mountains itself. A lot of which is caused by the actual rift.
But it still fits the description of the area.
Yes, it definitely fits the description of the area. And some of the creatures that you see that start making their way out of the area, not towards you, but you see a group of 4 humanoids come running out of one side of the settlement, and they start running across the plains into the foothills, more or less in the same direction that the blip is pointing in.
I think we should go back and take a different route so that we're not walking into that.
Are we able to?
Shady, is Shady's your signal pointing at the rift?
As much as I'd like to agree with you, heading that way. The same way they're kind of going.
Can I
At
see,
least that's away from the town.
Yeah.
before we spend any longer here, can you help hide us?
This is a good
Right
time
now.
for us without. Yes, this is a good time for that.
This is a great time for that.
Can do.
Can I see if there's like a way we could skirt around from where we are around the town towards where they've run, maintaining like I don't know if we're in tree line or
Yeah.
we're behind rocks.
I mean, you can look at it where you go. You can more or less go back. You reached that point. You weren't sure which direction to go in. You picked one at random. You've ended up here. You can go back there. If you follow the other route, it moves away from this slightly larger valley but still in the right sort of direction that you're meant to be going in.
Okay.
So yeah, you can just go back to that point and carry on from there.
How long was it between there and here?
Not very long, sort of like 10 or 15 minutes.
Oh, it's not that far.
I'm
No.
going back. If we're wrong,
Yep.
we can back to
Interesting point as you watch as you've sort of noticed the humanoids running across the plains, they move very quickly. Like, unnaturally quickly.
Quick as him.
Potentially
tastefully.
faster than Erebus
Really?
moves.
Thank you.
Yes.
Gesundheit. If you keep sneezing, we'll have to put you in isolation.
I'll have to go home. But then at that point, you're all doomed anyway.
You get in
Yes.
the cupboard. We'll just let you
Yeah,
in the cupboard.
that's it.
So you head back to the direction you came from. Do you turn? Do you walk backwards, watching it until it's out of sight, or do you turn and just leave quickly?
I would certainly be keeping an eye on our
Mm-hmm.
6.
Cool. So some of you
I
are.
would be looking the other way to make sure we're not going to be ambushed from
Yep.
behind.
I was going to say, yeah. So
Or
some of you are watching the settlement. Some of you are looking down the direction you go. Those of you who turn your back, sort of as you turn, you feel the hairs on the back of your neck just sort of stand up and start prickling. It is unpleasant. It's not. It's like a really cold chill, like someone has just like run an ice block down your back, sort of thing. It's a really unpleasant shudder. Which then as when you round the corner and it is no longer in would be an eyesight, the feeling passes. Cool. So you guys make your way back to the split. You take the other path and carry on travelling.
How wide a path have we been travelling on?
I mean, it's sort of as wide as you want because you're.
But we're not like just squeezing our way down.
No. Yeah, it's still valleys. That's the joys of Shamshir with incredibly high rolling is you've avoided most of the tight spaces. You've mostly been following valleys rather than gulfs or ravines.
We're moving single file to try and disguise how many of us are walking. This is a quick check to see what's actually been happening. Cause
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
We usually walk around in a clump. That's our standard formation. I doubt we go single file if we can avoid it.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Please.
Am I still on guard, like watching out while we're moving still?
Yep, you're still keeping an eye out. Cool. Make another survival check as you carry to pass on through.
Is anyone still helping?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Any time where you're trying
Okay.
to track something, I will.
22.
22, wonderful. So you carry on. You find again more easy paths. Now that you've got a better sense of what's essentially to your right, you're a bit more like, not that route. Anything that's moving to the right is immediately discounted. And that helps you narrowing down the options, makes it a lot easier to sort of pick a path that is going to be easy to follow, but still offers the quietness and the stealth that you are looking for. I would like one person, don't really care who, to roll a d20 for me.
11.
11, cool.
Not a 2.
No, I know.
It was 2 1s.
It'll be a 2
That's why
next
you
time.
two did pick it up.
Okay.
If something you want to fail, let me know.
So you start to reach the point as you get closer. You can see the tops of the mountains over the foothills because you're getting closer. Wait, no, other way around. You're seeing them less. Sorry. As you get closer, the foothills are going to cover more.
Yeah, given
Yeah.
that there's a large
We're getting
distance.
close to the mountains. Yeah.
Yes, you are getting closer to the mountains. At which point your blip starts to turn ever so slightly from moving in a direction. Like, it's more or less constantly pointed at the same point.
Huh.
But as you're moving, it's starting to twist a lot more. And you've got a better...
Where are you going?
It is moving away from where the settlement is.
Okay, that's good.
Cool.
Guys, the blip's not in the settlement.
Well, that's good.
That's-
We don't have to eviscerate everyone there.
Cool.
Is the blip stationary?
Huh?
Is the blip stationary?
Oh no, it's kind of veered off to the side of it from the direction we're going in.
I think the blip is stationary, but we're moving still, so it's changed where it's actually heading. Which means we're fairly
I
close.
think we'd have to
because it's
stay
actually
still and
changing.
then see where the blip, if the blip moves.
And I don't advise staying still.
Not here.
No.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you carry on going, keep on moving, adjusting course a little bit to account for where the blip is.
I'll be telling Shamshir.
Yep.
And then,
Make another survival check.
Do you want to pass without trace yet?
15.
15, okay. And can another person roll a d20 for me?
17.
17, cool.
Just giving the initiatives for our enemies there.
Hmm.
Some sort of masochists. Like
Okay.
This is how big each hunting party is.
So,
Low numbers.
you carry on attempting to find paths and routes through the foothills. The change in direction, before you were just looking for a route that just got you as quickly and efficiently through to the base of the mountains to then find the path you're looking through from that point. As Erebus starts pointing to be like, oh, we need to go in this direction, you become even more limited in the options of places that you can take. And you end up wandering through a section that it starts to get like a little bit. There's a lot more rocks sort of piled up. It's a lot more awkward to move. There are sections you end up having to sort of climb over. It slows you down a little bit as you're moving. As you sort of clear the other side, those of you who heard the weird screeching, howling sound in the night suddenly hear that very loud and very close to you. As 4 voices take up a loud, screeching, hunting.
As soon as I hear that, I'm casting Pass Without Trace.
Wonderful.
As soon as which direction is it coming from?
You hear it sort of just echo. Well, make a perception check, actually.
Don't worry.
You
about
hear it's just sort of echoing around you. You're not entirely sure which direction it's come from. It's
So
just this.
What's around us right now?
You're still just in
Is it boulders
foothills.
and stuff that we'd have to
Yeah,
look at?
some sort. Yeah, you're making your way through a rocky.
Are we gonna duck down and hide behind the boulders then?
Yeah. When I hear that, I literally just go hand
We
on
drop- we
Shamshir's
drop.
shoulder, hand on pause,
Okay.
stop, and, like press down and drop as well.
And we are now just hiding.
Wonderful.
Since he cast Pass Without Trace, we have to reroll stealth.
Yep.
Blessed +10. Thank God.
Yeah, so we are running an extra 10.
Mhm.
17.
17. Shamshir.
Oh god.
Lots. I'm assuming.
34.
Hey!
Yeah.
What?
38.
And then, yeah, that's what happens.
13.
13.
Oh,
13-4, right?
oh, that was a 1 by the way.
The 24.
24.
14.
14.
30.
30.
3 was above 30. Okay, you might get away with this.
What you rolled? 3?
Yeah. Disadvantage rolled a 9, a 3.
I rolled a straight 1.
Okay, so Erebus casts Pass Without Trace. You all duck your way down, hide yourself behind rocks, and hope that this hunting cry and the creatures that have sounded their horns pass you by. You hear the sound screech again. 4 voices shouting it out. And it is louder and it is closer.
Is it?
Which direction is it now? Since if we know it's closer.
I mean, it's louder. That's the main thing you have for it being closer.
I would like to propose that we move on a little bit, perhaps
Yeah.
following
Yeah.
our trail,
Yeah.
and now we don't leave a trail.
Yeah, we move.
Is it voices or is it
Groans.
is it someone shouting or is it an animal vocalization?
It seems to be coming from some sort of humanoid-ish voice. It doesn't sound like it's definitely a strain on the voice box. It's the kind of thing. If you guys attempted to recreate it, you'd probably wreck some vocal cords in doing so.
Cool.
So we're gonna move off of the path we've been following because if they do that, it'll just
Let's
continue on the way.
remain low, stay as behind as many rocks as possible, but let's go that way. And I'll point towards a way that's, not necessarily heading in the straight line we've currently been going. So
Yeah.
there might
Yeah,
perhaps-
different route. That's what I was going
Yeah, you just sort of pick a route and you just start moving slightly off to the side. Wonderful. You start trying to quietly make your way across, keeping yourself low, moving as you can, where you can. You hear the scream again, this time definitely behind you. It's not so much of an echo. You hear it coming from essentially the rock area that you were just making your way through.
The one that we decided to hide behind.
The one you just left.
I take my mace out,
Okay.
I've got my shield out, and I take up a position
If I
back.
cast a spell
Mhm.
whilst hidden,
Mm-hmm.
or a cantrip, what would happen to my stealth?
It doesn't break stealth unless you make an attack against the creature. It doesn't break stealth. But the spell may, if the spell contains like a material component or a
It's verbal somatic.
verbal, it may create noise from creating a spell.
But it would make more noise where I'm casting it because of what I'd hope it would achieve.
Potentially, depending on what you're attempting to do. Yes.
Do you guys want a small distraction?
I think they're following tracks, not noise.
This would give them something else to follow.
Let's just see which direction they go in first, perhaps.
If it gets closer, I'll do it.
We're still
Okay.
moving away at this point.
Yeah, you're still moving away, moving carefully and quietly away. Okay. You hear again a loud screaming sound behind you. It's a slightly different sound. Similar to a hunting cry, but it's more. It's hard to tell. It's done at a slightly lower pitch. It's slightly less strained, and it doesn't seem to be that much closer to you. And then, as you guys are sort of making your way along, Aegis, there's still like piles of rocks and stuff nearby, and you sort of, as you're trying to move quietly around, you put your hand on a pile that looks sturdy, turns out not to be that sturdy.
Can I, as he does this, can I then use my reaction to do something else?
You can, yeah.
I would like to cast Dust as a cantrip,
Yeah.
and I'd like to target a rock that's kind of 30 feet behind us,
Mm-hmm.
and just to push it off down away from us, so as if that has also been kind of dislodged by something being there.
By the wind.
Yes.
Cool.
The point is there's no wind, so it would be something else that just pushes it.
Let me just read the specifics of Gust, just so I get a sense of what
It has
can...
to be something smaller because it can only be
It could be a bunch of pebbles.
one medium or smaller creature you choose must succeed, but it's not a creature.
Oh no!
A small blast of air capable of moving one object that's neither held or carried that weighs no more than 5 pounds, so it would just be something really small.
It's going to be a really, really
But-
small
But
rock.
just enough that if it gets shoved off and then it hits
Oh
something
yeah,
else, it
you'll
will
shove
make
something off. Unfortunately, it doesn't cover the sound of the pile that Age is sort of. It is a good idea. It can only move a 5-pound rock, unfortunately. So you do create a sound behind you.
30 feet away.
Yeah, somewhere else there. At the same time as this larger pile just sort of collapses, and you again hear that very loud hunting cry, and you hear the sound of things running after you, running towards you. What are you guys doing?
We can either run or brace for impact.
Stand and fight.
Stand and fight.
Brace for impact.
Brace for impact. Wonderful.
I would like to.
Tea.
Now is not the time for tea.
I would like to shout. I would like to use my actor ability
Yeah.
to try and mimic the low noise as loud as I can.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Ooh. Oh.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Is that
you
performance check.
you create that low sound, which just comes out of Derek. It's really unpleasant. It's really creepy.
At that point, I think we were both just going to go. What?
What?
I thought they were in front of us.
Yeah, what? Oh, it's Derek. What?
What was in that tea, dude?
Those of you who heard the sound during your watch, you recognise that sound, and you're like, "What?"
It's going to be okay, Derek. It's going to be alright.
We made you a liar.
Someone get him his tea.
Unfortunately, that doesn't put them off because they are just looking for something to hunt. As sort of running around behind you,
I'm prepared to cast a spell since we know they're coming.
that is actually you can only do in combat.
We know they're coming though.
Yeah. That's fine. It's an actually going.
That's
If
the
you
rule.
prepare something, they can prepare something.
Yeah.
That's normally worse for a player.
Yeah. So what comes bounding round the corner towards us?
Round the corner comes 4 humanoids, 4 elves. The same sort of size and movement as the group that you saw leaving the town. You just happen to have crossed their path, and they picked up your tracks and have followed you here.
They crossed our path.
Yeah. And we will take a break there, and we'll pick that up at the start of part 2. So, thank you very much, guys, for watching. Stay tuned for part 2. We'll be back momentarily.